This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we've always encouraged you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because Joanne's Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce each Wednesday morning at this time presents Joanne's World of Nutrition with the one and only Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having an absolutely incredible morning. Okay, now I am going to put you to the test, Cliff. I can't remember which breath work we chose for June.
Ooh, it's still
June. I do my meditation and breath work every morning. And so I'm thinking of what I'm doing right now, but I'm not sure if that's what I picked for June. I know last month we had the box method, then like the Navy SEAL method. And we did now. Wow, I can't really remember. I'm doing so many breath works, and with each client, I give them different styles.
They were a little longer last.
It was like longer, I think maybe it was a long exhale for like anxiety and stress. All right, well, we're going to go with that this morning because I have a guest on this morning. I didn't. Oh, you know what? It's here, Cliff. I want you to see this note real quick, and I will tell everyone about what an awesome Father's Day gift it would be if you get your significant other a Detox Day gift certificate. For our wellness center, we have the Detox Day. It is 2 hours at the wellness center, your choice of services, and it does include a full massage. So you're there for 2 hours, so you can pick an infrared sauna, you can pick an ion foot detox, super popular, and then the PEMF mat, pulse electromagnetic frequency mat, for only $99. It makes an amazing gift. And if you're not local, but your loved one is, you can just call the store, 464-3598, and we can take your payment over the phone and take care of that gift certificate for you. It really does make a wonderful gift, and it's totally different. And when people leave, they're like, wow, this is really awesome. So just $99. And I want to mention one thing about the PEMF mat. Most people are the least familiar with that device. And in 2004, the FDA approved that for healing non-union bone fractures. So I always say, it can, if it can heal a bone that no other methods can heal, then maybe it needs, maybe it could do other amazing things, right? And then the FDA also approved it 3 years later for clinical depression. So this device is just a mat you lay on. You don't really feel much. It's very safe, very effective. So that is part of that $99 package. It's a great way to introduce your loved ones to these type of devices, that they're safe and they really do work. So let me clear my throat. We're just getting the guest on, but we're going to do some breath work real quick while he's getting signed on. So I'm going to do it myself since Cliff is busy doing the harder work. So we're going to do...
lead people in
I think I can if I clear my throat finally, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not used to this. I think I can count to 4 or 5, right? All right, so thank you for listening this morning, and we do breath work every morning. So if you're new to the show, I welcome you, and breath work is really important. Meditation and breath work is the first step when you don't feel your body is functioning to its optimum, no matter what you're struggling with, whether it be physical or emotional. Breath work and just quieting your mind is a great step. I always say if you get out of the way, your body can do all the work, but you just have to get out of the way sometimes. Oh, so we're going to do breath work, and let me clear my throat. I don't know what's happening today, Bert. I got a frog in my throat. Thank God you signed on because I can't talk for an hour. Good morning, Bert. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll just do the breath work to, give some time, and I couldn't talk. All right, so you're going to do the breath work with us, Bert?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. All right, so let's everyone just relax our shoulders. Let's do a nice exhale out. Any stress, anything that seems like it's not might be working right out this morning, let's just breathe it out. Whew. All right, so let's inhale through the nose for 4, and let's do a long exhale for 8 seconds. Okay, everyone? So, Cliff, now that you're free, do you want to be the counter? I think I need this breath work, so you need to do the breathing.
Okay, what was the format?
So we'll do in through the nose for 4 and out through the nose for 8 seconds, and we'll do 2 rounds.
Okay.
Okay.
In for 4 and out.
For 8
twice.
seconds.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Let's do this. Here we go.
Let it all out. Release all energies and all negativity, and begin in 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, in 2, 3, 4. Slowly out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Thank you so much. I feel so much better. How about you, Bert? Feel good?
Yeah, that helps.
Right. Definitely helped me. And the frog's still there, but just a tiny frog this time. So, Bert, we're going to do question and answer today. How's that sound?
Sounds really good.
All right. I figure I have to do that all day long. You have to do it all day long, right? So we'll just continue on for the radio show. So the first question I have is from a customer. He goes by a few different names, but his nickname is Reno. You would love this man, Bert. He is in his late 80s, super strong, still working construction, and he comes to me, and he's doing the cell power, and he says, Joanne, I have so much energy, but it doesn't last the whole day. Like, he's trying at his age to work construction a full day. Like, he does not want to retire. He does not want to stop anything. And he looks super strong and fit. So he was asking, should he just increase the cell power? Because he's working outdoors in Florida, our heat here and our humidity, should he increase just the water, not the cell power drops? And he wasn't ready for super silica, so he wanted to just really address it as cell power. So what do you think?
The ideal amount for an adult is 6 servings of cell power in a day. And when you do that with each serving in its own 16 ounces of distilled or purified water, that gets you up to 3 quarts of water intake. And then if you're able to do 1 more quart of just plain water or whatever else you want to put in your water, that would be good. So if he's already up to a gallon a day of water, and at the same time is up to 6 servings of cell power, then he would look to his sleep patterns. So if he's already gotten to that level and still wants to make it through a full hot day of construction work, then he would want to see if he could go to bed shortly after sunset or after it gets dark.
And he probably would be willing to do that. I'm sure he has to get up super early for his job. Most construction sites in Florida start really early, trying to beat the worst of the sun. So that's great advice. Okay, so Reno, I hope you heard that, and I hope you have an amazing day and you're out there building more beautiful homes. So
That sounds good.
yeah, it's incredible. Like, I love the idea of people wanting, they have that passion for their careers and they don't want to stop, because then they were in the right field where their gift was, because why would you want to stop, right? It's you enjoy it so much. Okay, so ready for the next question. All right, these are easy for you. All right, hopefully I'll get harder ones. Okay, so the next question is a customer who listens to all the shows. she needs to budget for either super silica or cell power. And she noticed on super silica ingredients, it lists cell power. So her thinking is that is the correct choice if she's only budgeting for one product. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, that's been a great point of confusion for people. I don't know how else to state it on the bottle label, but it's in order to get the maximum absorption of silica, what helps the body open up the cell membrane so that it can bring in good nutrients from their food, from your supplements, uh, you know, bring in water, oxygen, messenger hormones, everything that the cell needs. Cell power helps the cell open up. So it's how we get the maximum absorption, but you're not getting the benefits of cell power for your body because it's just there to get to allow the silica itself, which are very, very, very tiny particles of silica, each one with a slight positive electrical charge. So if you want to get the benefits of cell power, you need to be doing that just by itself in water. That would be the extra oxygenation, the pH balance, all of those things. If you take the super silica, that would be for the benefits of silica deficiency, everything from hair, skin, and nails, all the way to the more serious varicose veins or spider veins or irregular heartbeats, all the way down to vision, which is -11, but you've got at -10 the fibroid tumors and the so-called autoimmune. So that's when you want to be taking silica, is when you have the deficiencies on that silica deficiency chart. But it's not like saying, oh, and then I'll get cell power too. Yeah, I guess to some extent, but it's less than half. So you can get pH balance with just cell power in your drinking water. The average time is 4 to 10 weeks. Sometimes people even do a little bit faster than that. If you're taking the super silica and say, I'd like to get pH balance, it's going to take about 4 times as long. So it'd be 4 to 10 months instead of 4 to 10 weeks.
Well, if she's listening, Bert, I'm sure she's like, all right, I'm going to find a way in my budget, because your products are extremely affordable per serving. And we all know that, one fancy beverage at, one of those drive-throughs right there is more than what the cost per day is of your product. So yeah, so hopefully she wants to consider both now. All right, beautiful explanation. All right, so this one is going to be a tricky one unless you're well versed. So there are people out there that I do feel like are, I don't know, responsible in their information that they put online. So like Mark Hyman, Tony Robbins, and they are talking about NMN and other anti-aging supplements with good information behind it. I've listened to hours and hours on YouTube, and also Tony Robbins' book. And it talks about like not only stopping aging, but reversing. Now, my philosophy, Bert, which I think aligns with yours in most places, is that first you have to address your foundational health before you really work with these new aging supplements, anti-aging supplements. So what are your thoughts on this whole huge multi-billion-dollar anti-aging market and all the supplements they're talking about, like peptides and NMN and all that? I told you it was a tricky one. Haha.
I guess I tell people, if it works, then use it. But if it doesn't, don't keep trying to tell yourself, oh, I think this will work. I think this will work. And 2 or 3 years later, you're still looking for it to work. So that's what I just say. I mean, that's the only way to really learn. I mean, we've tried just about everything in our family in the last 30 or 40 years. And if it works, we stick with it. And if it doesn't, we don't beat ourselves up. We just like, okay, well, I tried it, to see for myself.
How much time do you usually give yourself if you're looking into something new, like supplement-wise for research? How much time do you give your body to see if it's responding well?
3 to 6 months, because it turns out that you need about 3 months for almost anything. If you're working on pH balance, say, and using cell power, you're testing your saliva once a week. You're marking down what your pH score is every week, right after you do it before you forget. And so as you are doing that and you're staying in the pH balanced range, it always takes about 3 to 4 months for no matter what is going to clear up on the short end, and 7 months on the long. So if somebody's pH balanced and they're type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, will clear up in about 7 months or less. For fibromyalgia, it's about 3 to 4 months. Even if somebody's taking a really good form of magnesium potassium aspartate, there are a couple of good companies that do that. If you're looking for kidney stones to be completely gone, dissolved, without you don't have to pass the stoning, you don't have to have surgery or anything else, it takes about 3.5 months. So for some reason, that's the healing amount of time in the body. So if you're taking the dose that especially if you have someone that can do muscle testing and find out exactly what your dose on a product is, that's what I give myself. If I'm not seeing some benefit by 3 or 4 months, then I'm saying, well, it's not working for me now. It doesn't mean that won't work in the future. It just means your body's not ready for it.
Okay.
I mean, that seems to work for just about everyone. And I didn't know that right when I got done with my college studies in nutrition. But as I started using a biomeridian machine, and it would go ahead and help dose which supplements, sometimes people would say, I would go ahead and do it. It would say, oh, you don't need to take cell power right now. And the person says, well, how is that possible? And I said, well, your body needs something else that's more important. But they would come back and see me every 5 weeks. And 5 weeks from now, it may be that they would need, the full 6 servings a day of cell power. So if you have someone that can do that kind of muscle testing, then you'll know what it is. And if you can do that ahead of time with the peptides and the M and M,
yeah.
then you would know, is this the right timing?
Okay.
If you don't have that, then you just have to really listen to your body. You have to really pay attention. Women seem to be better at that than men.
Sometimes.
Sometimes men are just telling me, they go, I didn't notice any difference. And if their wife is there, she'll say, you've been telling me for the last 3 weeks that you've noticed all these differences.
I know.
But in their mind, it's just not, it's not staying there. They don't identify
totally
it long-term.
understand. I understand. And Bert, you've mentioned muscle testing a few times, and there might be some listeners that are not familiar with it, but I will tell my one quick story about muscle testing. So many of my friends and mentors use muscle testing, and I never used it on the store floor unless someone asked. If they asked, then we did it. But one of my I'm going to call her helper. She's a nurse, but she specializes in the endocrine system, a holistic nurse. And she told me that I shouldn't be drinking kombucha anymore. And I was so hooked on them. I was drinking one a day, and I was like, and she just was visiting me real quick. And I know she's very intuitive. And so I said, okay, Susan, tell me why. And she goes, let me show you. So she muscle tests me, and I'm holding my favorite, ginger berry kombucha, and literally like complete weakness. Like, I mean, there was no strength. And I was like, I know it works, but when you really see it, especially when it's something you love, it's like, how, so could you kind of guide the listeners that might be new to muscle testing, some guidance on what it means and how you do it?
Well, we started calling it muscle testing way, way back because people were doing it, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But now it is a college course in almost every university, an entire program. You can get a 4-year degree in what's called applied kinesiology. So applied kinesiology is so big that when you say, well, if I get a 4-year degree, who's going to hire me? Oh my goodness, the number of people and organizations that will hire you if you know how to do what we've always called muscle testing. But with applied kinesiology, even the U.S. Navy is trying to make sure that they have at least one person on every ship, every boat that is degreed and experienced in doing applied kinesiology for all of the sailors.
That is
I mean,
awesome. I never knew that, Bert.
oh, this is
Wow.
huge. It is just because I'll talk to young people and what do you want to do? And they're always a little bashful because I think some people say, well, what is that? And try to tell them that's, everybody always thought it was kind of a woo woo thing. It
Exactly.
was,
Yeah.
that you, and it's not, it is a science that shows that the nerves and muscles in your body will respond in either a positive or a negative way. And so when we're trying to put together our program, if we don't have somebody to do the muscle testing with us, a lot of times they'll do it with pushing on the elbow rather than the extended arm. That's a little bit more accurate. Sometimes they'll do it with just the fingers.
I've done that
together.
one. Yep.
Okay. But you can do it for yourself. And I'll see people do it in supermarkets. Again, they're looking around to try to make sure nobody sees what they're doing. But they'll go up to a product because they thought, I've always bought this product from this company and it's always been good, but lately I'm not feeling good. Before they buy their can of soup or their can of beans or whatever, they'll be standing there and holding it to their chest. And how do you do it for yourself? You would stand up, okay, and just relax your whole body, get your feet to touch each other or pretty close to, your shoes to touch each other. And then what you do is you just make a statement, and you can do it silently so nobody has to hear what you're saying. Saying I should be, this soup is good for me, this can of beans. And if your body on its own leans forward, it means that is a good item. If you start to move backward, you shouldn't be eating it or taking it right now. Now, some people have a reverse polarity. So have you seen that where some people
Yes, I have.
will actually, and there are people that are experienced on how to fix that. I'm sure that's one of the things they talk about in the
4-year course.
College degree.
I did 40 minutes.
Almost any university has that now in their science department.
Wow, and I act like an expert, and I only did like 40 minutes, so I couldn't imagine what they teach in 4 years. That's incredible. Yeah, I have. Sometimes the customers don't even want to see what I pull off the shelf. They're just like, hand me what you think I need. And then we test them, and it's super cool. Like when you give like a man a menopause formula, and they're totally weak on it, and it's just kind of, you have fun with it, But wow, I didn't know all that information, so I'm sure my listeners are paying attention more now, because I know with the Ion Foot Detox, they talk about the muscle testing for the settings and how long and how frequent, and so we do it for some of the clients that have done the research and like, wait, aren't you going to muscle test me to see which polarity? And I'm like, oh, sure. Okay. But,
there are
don't.
now natural licensed health practitioners like chiropractors or acupuncturists that are advertising specifically that they use applied kinesiology in their medical practice. So, I mean, it's a big deal because they're starting to see that there's a high demand, but it's like, how do you find these people? So, I mean, it is a science that has been proven over and over again that it is a correct science to be able to get a highly accredited, even the top 20 universities in the country have these complete 4-year Bachelor of Science in Applied Kinesiology. Wow. So it's really changed.
All right, I'm going to try to convince one of my kids to pursue this, okay? I still have lots of hope that one of them will end up in our field, right? All right, wow. That was a wonderful explanation. All right, so let's move on. So the super silica, sells so well at the store. Everyone loves super silica. I've gotten incredible feedback on it. People see my hair and they're like, Joanne, oh my gosh, it's growing so long and it's so thick now. And, I'm just definitely so thrilled that you told me to increase my doses to 4 a day. And actually, I'm doing for the weight loss program. I'm doing the gallon of the super silica, and we are considering ordering from you line a whole bunch of those glass gallon bottles and for the clients. So yeah, and everyone's in suspense, Bert. So what I'm telling everyone is our next 3 month show, we're going to have like part 1, part 2, part 3 about the whole program. Okay. So we'll get ready for that. So everyone's already like biting at the bit. Wait, what is it? And, but I'm going to Vegas next week. So I'm hoping to, really indulge and have fun. So we'll do the program after. All right. So all right, back to questions. All right, so I'm trying to just memorize all the ones that people have asked in the last month since you were on last. All right, so the next question is, if someone doesn't want to change any of their dietary habits, okay, so they're just willing to buy supplements, like most of your supplements that we have, but they don't want to change their dietary habits, does it still help them? These are their exact words. I kind of know what you're going to say, but will it still help them if they don't change their bad habits, like maybe eating through drive-thrus and maybe drinking a little bit and having some extra fun? So what you think?
Well, if you ask my wife, and she's a naturopathic doctor, she would say, no, if you're not going to make any dietary changes, you're not really going to go anywhere. But what we found, especially with even pH balancing, is that when a person starts testing their saliva pH once a week, which is the first step of a 3-step protocol, and then if they want to get pH balanced quickly, they would add the Cell Power supplement in with their drinking water, and again get up to that 6 servings a day. They will still be heading towards pH balance, even if they haven't changed their lifestyle. And a lot of people say, well, don't tell people that. And, it's like everyone that's healthy is kind of divided into 2 camps. Those that say, if you're not going to change your diet, there's no hope for you. And the other camp that says, well, eventually you'll do it, but you'll do it because you're starting to feel so much better. Most people will not give up their favorite vices when it comes to food and drink until they actually can see that it's going to make a difference. What I would hear for forever is that husband and wife would come in to see me in a clinical setting, and the wife says, you've got to convince my husband that he needs to
Oh, yes.
stop doing all these terrible things and start doing these other things, because, she's afraid she's going to lose him, that he's going to die. And the doctor's told him all these things. But basically, the doctor will say, you're going to have this illness, whether it's diabetes or osteoarthritis, whatever it is, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. And what I try to tell him is, he's not saying that there's no way to reverse it. He's talking about human behavior. Is that since 95% of the people are not willing to do anything healthy, whether it's a supplement program, whether it's a dietary change, since light exercise, if they're not willing to do anything healthy, then when he says you're going to have the rest of your life, it's not science that your body can't get over it and can't heal. It's just the fact that most people think that I'm just going to continue doing all of the things I've ever done and not stop anything healthy. So the short answer to that is that I believe that if you start doing the healthy things, and that's what we see with Cell Power. When a person finally starts to get pH balance, they feel so good that on their own, they'll say, oh, and I started doing this other healthy thing, right. And that's when the wife looks at the husband and said, you did what? You started doing this healthy thing on your own and nobody told you to do it? And like, well, I'm just feeling better. And so that's why I'm getting out and taking walks, or I'm getting out and doing some light exercise, or whatever it is that they just didn't do. But if you think there's no hope, why would you do it? Why would you give up all of your favorite vices if somebody says, no matter what you do, you will have this the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to get better. And that's not true. That's not correct. If you make positive changes, no matter what they are, it's going to help. And if you start with that, step 3 of the pH balancing protocol is then look towards those lifestyle changes or dietary changes. It's not a huge thing, but even if you take, a 10-step dietary change thing, which are all tiny little steps, and you do just 1 or 2 Everything positive you're doing is pointing you in the right direction. It's going to help. Now, some people take this to the extreme. I've received phone calls when people say, everyone told me I should give up smoking tobacco, and I just, found your product and started taking Cell Power. Now I feel so good that I just thought I don't have to give up this bad habit because I feel so great. And I remember the first time I said, is this a joke phone call? Is this on one of those radio shows or
Right.
something
Yeah.
where they're trying to just ruin my day? I said, it's not an excuse to keep doing bad things that you already know you should fix, but everything positive and good that you do does help.
I love that explanation. That was very thorough. And I do, totally agree. And what I tell people, it's just like when they come to me, the first session, I really oversimplify it. I'm like, okay, are you getting out and seeing some early morning sun? No. Okay, start there. Just start there. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm like, anyone can Google all these rules.
Right.
Anyone, yeah, everyone really intuitively knows the rules, but just start with something, anything. And then, like you said, you feel a little better. And then when you feel better, then you want to make a next better choice. So I love that. Yep. You just start somewhere, right, Bert?
Well, and that's why, with the weight loss program, we added in phase 0, which means before you even get started, there's another phase where if you can drink a gallon of distilled water per day, that requires, for a lot of people, it's huge mental challenge saying, no, that's impossible. That's impossible. But if you can just open up your mind and say, well, what if it's not impossible? And if you can take action, so it's a take action thing, and then you add the super silica drops in for the required amount per day for an adult. And as you go through, but what you just said, if you can't take action, if you can't, get out of bed, go outside, stretch in the
Yeah.
morning sun, just as the sun is coming up, just as the sunrise is there. If you can't do that part, then chances are you're not going to be able to do any of the other parts.
Exactly. And I have hinted to the real curious listeners about the gallon because they're like, well, we want to start when you start. And I'm like, all right, then you have to drink a gallon a day and do the super silica. So, yes, so we do have some people already on board for the stage 0, just so you know. And so now. Let's get to the next question before I forget it because I just had it in my mind. All right, so the dietary changes. So you mentioned, which we do have, I just ordered more copies of your amazing $2 book. It's like the best book you can get for $2. And so you said about pH. Can you remind the listeners or the viewers why it's so important to maintain a healthy pH?
It's what allows the cell membranes to work. We've got over 50 trillion cells that each one of them has a membrane that allows in the good stuff and ejects all the bad stuff. I mean, this ties into why 1 gallon of distilled water, which everyone, my favorite one is they say, well, I'm just a tiny little woman in my 70s and I only weigh 98 pounds. So certainly I don't have to do a gallon. And I said, yeah, maybe you have a lot less than 50 trillion living cells, but probably not. And each one of those is going to eject waste and toxins into the bloodstream, into the lymph stream. Okay. So when your pH balanced, the cell membrane is able to work without trying to protect itself from a pH that is just terrible. If you're way acidic or too alkaline, then the cell membrane locks down and it won't let in oxygen, water, fuel, nutrients, messenger hormones, because as soon as it opens up the doors, as soon as it opens up the cell membrane, all of this terrible acidic or over alkaline fluid would come in. So it just locks down. And what's trapped inside of the cell is all of the metabolic wastes. It's all of the things that need to be, the trash that needs to be taken out. But if you look at it, it's because we're talking about water. It's like you have 50 trillion little toilets in your body, 50 trillion of them. They all
That's
need
so
to get
funny.
waste out into the lymph fluid or the blood stream. And so if you don't have enough water to flush all of those, then they're just clogged. I mean, you may say, well, I drink a half a gallon of water a day and that's going to be good. And I'm going to say, okay, well, so half of your cells are able to flush and get the poisons out, get the waste out, and the other half are just clogged. You know, you don't need to call a plumber. You just need to turn the water back on.
Absolutely.
And I know
Absolutely.
that sounds terrible, but that's exactly what it is. Most of us are so filled with waste that should have been, you know, ejected out of our body weeks, months, years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number one amount of pounds that a person is going to lose. It's going to be 50% fat that your body will burn, and it's going to be 50% waste that should be, you know, going out into the toilet in your home. And without the water to do it, it's just going to stay in your body.
All
You know,
right. Absolutely. All right. So I'm remembering another question. So super silica. So they're talking about the extra servings to get ready for the weight loss protocol, and they're wondering, is there any negative side effects if they don't need silica?
no, because what your body uses silica for, number one, above everything else, you know, we keep saying, oh, it's for hair, skin, and nails. Well, we need to really talk about what the mechanism is that if your body doesn't have enough silica, then it starts borrowing it from your hair, your skin, and your nails. And that's when you see, oh, my nails don't look good, because a lot of the silica that was in the nails are being pulled back into the bloodstream because you don't have enough. So it's the number one thing for silica as a mineral in the human body is to help get rid of poisons and pollution. So heavy chemicals, heavy metals,
Which is
just
everywhere, whether we intentionally put it in our bodies or not.
well, you know, junk food. All you have to do is be eating anything that's a chip or a chip like snack that has all this orange food color in it, whether it's cheese puffs
Yes.
or tortilla chips, wherever it is. You know, it has so much poisons in it, and we're willingly just doing it. I mean, if somebody came and put a gun to our head and said, eat this poison thing, we'd say, no, no, I won't do that.
Right.
But without the gun to our head, we're like, hey, I'm going to buy me some of those and start poisoning myself.
Bert, I was trying to tell my son about this because I told him about the Takis and the Doritos, and I kind of tried to maintain in our home that there are some things that no matter what, just do not consume, at least in front of me where I'm aware of it, right? I just really,
Uh,
and so, like Takis and Doritos, that's like a couple of them, but he bought, well, his grandma bought from the supermarket those noodle dishes, kind of like a fancier cup version of the ramen or ramen,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And it had that orange powder on top.
hmm
Is that the same stuff that they're using for like what we're discussing right now? Those orange powders?
With most brands, yes, it is, but not always. Check the ingredient label, and hopefully they're not lying on the ingredient label. But you want to look and see what it has. If it says yeast extract, that's just a way of hiding the fact that they're putting MSG into it. Now, MSG is a neurotoxin. It actually attacks the brain and the rest of the central nervous system. So again, we're talking about something that can have devastating effects to the
Okay.
brain. That means it's going to affect vision. So, you know,
Okay.
you try to do the best you can, but guess what? If you have enough distilled or purified water, it's going to flush out those things.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying is it's bad enough to be putting it in your body, but then to put it in your body and say, oh, but I'm not going to flush. I'm going to leave the poisons just sitting there inside of myself. I mean, it's, you know,
Okay.
I always say from the very top, you don't put it in your body in the first place. But even down at the end, there are so many antidotes. And one of the best antidotes is to make sure that you have the distilled
Right.
water,
The
and if it
best
has
chelating substance, right?
and super silica is that substance that helps push the aluminum out of your body. It starts working and get rid of the lead, but it also helps with all of the other poisonous chemicals. And for your children that are saying, you're saying, at least don't eat these things in front of me, they don't just add in just poisons into these orange colored snack crunchy things that people are doing, but they also add in specific addiction chemicals. Just like they found out after years that it wasn't just tobacco's addicting, but it was the fact that they were putting the nicotine in separately to get a person addicted to it beyond what was in the tobacco. And that's what they're starting to do with all kinds of foods. The fact that these addiction chemicals are legal in the United States, that's horrific. Yeah. It's just horrific, because basically they're saying, well, to increase the sales of these things, let's make sure a person says, I just have a craving for all these bad things.
Yeah.
No, you don't just have a natural craving for it. It's the fact that somebody has doctored it with something that will keep you going back to terrible things.
Absolutely. I totally see that. It's the only thing that would explain that why these people would enjoy these things that really don't even taste good. They don't. I mean, it's very sad. Okay, so this is going to be a tricky question. It is from me, and I have not been able to find an answer on my own, so I'm just going to give you a shot, okay? So since I've been doing the super silica, not only has my hair been getting better, but my nails have been getting better. Like, we've been working on flooring at our house, and normally if I do any projects, forget it, my nails would be just destroyed. But they're staying nice and strong, except for the nail where I keep my wedding rings on. So I'm kind of like in a mystery. Every other nail is smooth and strong, but the one with my rings on have ridges and weaker. Bert, what's going on? Is it the metal from the rings? What's happening here? Do you know?
Yeah, and it depends how old the ring is.
Well, 6 years. 6 years we've been married. Yep.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's releasing mercury into the skin on that finger.
Oh.
After a number of years, that doesn't cause the problem. I mean, right now I don't have the kind of problems on that fingernail that I had, say, 20 years ago. On this particular ring, it actually had rough parts on the outside of the ring, and then now it's totally smooth.
Oh, okay.
So that's good, except for the fact that, all jewelry, gold, platinum, silver, for the metal part of it, in a ring, they use mercury to resize it. Oh. That's how they get it from a size 10 down to a size 5 or 6 or whatever. And so it's in there. Because of that, jewelers that do this resizing of rings end up having dementia really early because of all of the mercury that they're dealing with. But that's what's happening. Is, what did we say that the number one function of the essential trace mineral silica is? The number one function of silica is to help with poisons.
Okay.
So what's happening is that the silica that's trying to get from your body out through the end of your ring finger to the nail, to replace it in the nail, it's being stopped. In most cases, I'm not saying this applies to every single case of what you're describing, but in most cases, it's being stopped because it's trying to help detox from the metal.
Wow.
Now, I hate to say this on the air, because then people say, well, I shouldn't be wearing my ring, but I was like,
But it is obvious, Bert. I mean, all my other nails are absolutely smooth and strong except for the ring finger. So you have to be spot on, because there's no other explanation.
Well, and it affects the whole body ultimately. I mean, see if you can. Well, maybe I'll say this off the air, but check out people that have.
I love my ring. It's the only jewelry I wear, Bert.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about that at all. But if you begin observing, for people that have rings on every finger and maybe even on their thumbs, if you start looking, you'll see silica deficiency symptoms because the body's pulling silica out of the veins, out of the arteries, out of the brain tissue, everything else to try to get it to the area where it's being hit. And sometimes it's not even real metal in the rings, and so that's not necessarily a
Okay.
bad thing. I can't believe you had that question. That's such an
I know,
interesting
right?
question.
Well, because now that I have nice, strong, smooth nails, thanks to your silica, like I always touch them, and then when I touch the one with the rings, I'm like, oh, why is there ridges on that one? So that's good. I'll just do some more ion foot detoxes and get this mercury right out of me. But
Well, that's where you have the super silica topical spray, and you can go ahead and spray that finger and nail and rub it in. It just means treating it special, adding a little bit of extra. I mean, try that and see
well,
what happens.
I have the spray too. I usually spray it on my chest for brown spots and my heels for dryness. So I'm like, I might as well just shower with it. I mean, why not at this point? That's what you have to create next. Some kind of like little implant for the shower where silica just sprays down on you all over. Yeah, like
That's interesting.
a little dispersing. Maybe not the whole time.
Well, yeah, one of the best shower filters in the world is made in Japan. Actually, several companies make it, and it has a little canister with vitamin C powder. And so what
Really?
happens, yep, is it mixes it with the water, and you're actually spraying dissolved vitamin C over your
Wow.
whole body.
That's
But
so
but
interesting.
that's one of the only ways to get chloramine out of tap water. Chloramine is a compound of chlorine and ammonia put together, and it's so toxic it just doesn't get removed by almost anything else. I mean, you have a chlorine filter, and that's fine, but the chloramine still goes through. So it's interesting. People have already thought of taking good, healthy, natural things like supplements, putting them in a shower filter, shower head,
Oh, so
and
I wasn't the first one to think of this. Bummer. All right. One day I'll become a multimillionaire with one of my ideas. All right. So we have some time for the big question. So you mentioned earlier about the kidney stone, and I had one customer. She actually showed me her scan film on her phone, and her kidney stone was like almost the size of a kidney. I mean, I've never seen one so large. I don't even know how it got to that point. Um, so, the actual question, I think you'll chuckle on this one, could super silica cause a kidney stone? Because she doesn't want to add to the stone, and she's probably has to opt for surgery unless you say something different this morning. Um, so so basically, would super silica attribute to any calcification or mineralization that could be occurring in a body? And what would you suggest if someone doesn't want to get surgery for a kidney stone?
well, there are so many factors. It's a person by person thing if they don't want to get surgery. But the whole idea is that magnesium potassium aspartate that we were talking about.
Which I
Uh,
do carry the Country Life one.
yeah, so that one you take 3 tablets a day, one morning, noon, and night. Each 180 tablet bottle, of course, is going to last for 2 months, and it takes 3 to 4 months to dissolve most kidney stones. Now, if you're saying it's the
It's huge.
yeah bigger than a golf ball or something, it might take longer than 4 months. Maybe it's gotten to that point. But what silica does is it is a trace mineral in the body that helps with calcium management. So that means that it works for both osteoporosis, where the calcium has left the bones and teeth, and also for arthritis, because if the calcium is left, where does it go? It's not all going towards a kidney stone, for example. It's going into the joints. So it would be rare to see somebody with a large kidney stone that doesn't already have arthritis or osteoporosis. So silica helps the calcium go to where it's supposed to go. So it's not going to add to gallstones or kidney stones. It's going to help it go back to where it's supposed to. There is no bone density improvement, I mean, real improvement without adequate silica. Now, that's a big statement, but it's just true. I mean, you can have the bones become more dense with elements that aren't supposed to be there. I mean, all of a sudden you've got lead in your bones and you go, oh, your density is improved with the machine they use, but that's not healthy.
Right.
So silica helps with calcium management. And if you're not going to use magnesium, potassium aspartate to do it naturally, you're probably going to have to take a non-natural thing or a surgical way or whatever with the kidney stones. But on an ongoing basis, you'd want to take both the Country Life magnesium, potassium aspartate and the super silica.
Okay, that's a great answer. And I know too that sometimes people that are drinking sodas, Coca-Colas and such, they really get attacked with the kidney stones more often. Could you explain why that is?
Yeah, because the ingredients in those kinds of soft drinks include those things that causes calcium to leave the bones and teeth. And if it doesn't have anywhere else to go, then eventually the kidney is trying to clean up the bloodstream. So it ends up with all this excess calcium that isn't going back into your bones and teeth, and the stones. And there are a lot of things. When you're drinking a lot of soft drinks, it also leads to a lot more cases of psoriasis and eczema because of the fact that the body would prefer to try to get the excess chemicals from the soft drinks and the excess calcium out of your body without going through the kidneys. In Asian medicine, 6,000 year history, what they're saying that the most important organ in the entire body is the kidney. The kidney is the most important, and its job is to clean the blood. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
So, and it's a water-based organ. So if you're not drinking enough water, not fluids, not like saying, oh, I don't drink much water, but I drink a lot of soft drinks and all these other fluids, that doesn't help your kidneys.
Oh, no.
So anyway.
Well, Bert, you got 100%, an A+ on all your questions. Good job. All right, Bert, it's always a pleasure, but I am super excited about next 3 months when we're going to talk about just resetting the body. Yes, weight loss will be a natural side effect of this, right? So get your rest, and I'll see you next month. Thank you, Bert. Have a great one.
Bye.
All right, everyone, don't forget about those Father's Day, Detox Day gift certificates, only $99. You get to spend 2 hours at the Wellness Center, massage, infrared sauna, PMF, IM for detox. Come check it out. It's a really unique gift. It's awesome. Thanks, everyone.
And a pear tree. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, presented by Nutrition World, US 1 and Orange Avenue across from City Hall in the former arcade building, Krass Plaza. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, on Google Home, Alexa, and the TuneIn app on your smartphone. The time right now is 11 o'clock.